authors! I have an important topic to talk with you about today, and that is jacket flap copy. Now you might also think of this as cover copy or back cover copy. This is the enticing, short, little message that's going to appear on your book that's going to try to lure readers into buying it or picking it up or actually reading it. On a hardcover book, it's normally material that's printed on the inside jacket flap. Hence the name jacket flap copy. On the back of a hardcover book, you'll often have pull quotes from different review publications or maybe from blurbs from other authors. Sometimes they will be about this book, sometimes they will be about your previous books. On a softcover book, you're often going to find this information on the back cover of the book. Now, if you are a traditionally published author, usually there is someone at your publishing house who is creating this copy. It could be your editor, it could be graphic designer, it could be someone whose job it is just to write all the jacket flap copy. Who knows? Every publishing house does it a little different. I've heard of some authors who are traditionally published who are also the ones who write that copy, and sometimes it's taken from their original submission letter. If you are lucky as an author, your publisher will send this information to you ahead of time so that you can review it, correct anything in it, say, I don't really like this, could we change this? And if you're really lucky, they'll actually listen to you. But sometimes you don't have a say at all in this information. So guys, this video isn't really for you. But if you are a self-published author, listen up, because this video is for you. If you're a self-published author, you are going to have to create this jacket flap copy yourself. And while some of you have done your research, you know what you're doing, a lot of you don't. And I know because I've looked at a lot of self-published books and I've seen what appears on the back of books or on the flap copy, and it's not any good. So I do have an assignment for you, and my assignment is to go to your local bookstore. It can be an independent bookstore, it can be Barnes & Noble, it can be Books A Million, whatever. But go to a real bookstore and look at the different traditionally published books out there. Look at books in your genre, look at books in other genres, and see what actually appears on the back of books. Sometimes it'll be a passage from the book, other times it'll be a description that is enticing and makes you want to read the book. But what you will notice is what is on the book, on the back of a book, or on the jacket flap copy is not a line-by-line summary of the book. Summaries do have their place. If you are pitching your book to publishers or to agents, you do want to have a summary. That is because that's a different audience. You're not trying to lure them into picking up your book and reading it. I mean, you do want them to represent you or to publish your book, but on the other hand, they want to know, what is this book? What is it about? Readers want to know that too, but they don't want to know the whole story. They don't want spoilers. They don't want to know what happens in the second chapter, and the third chapter, and the fourth chapter. They just want a quick description of it. Think about this. Well, back in the old days, when you had to pick a movie, you would have the newspaper in front of you, and you would look at what movies were playing in your local movie theater. And usually there would be a short description of the movie. I'm sure these are still in newspapers, but I don't know that anyone reads newspapers anymore. What you wouldn't have is a full CliffsNotes style summary of the movie. They wouldn't want to give away any spoilers in this description, unlike some of the stuff that I've seen printed on the backs of self-published books. So to give you an example of this, I'm going to use a movie that's been out there a while and a lot of people have seen, and that is Forrest Gump. If you've never seen the movie Forrest Gump, just stop this video right now because I'm going to give away spoilers about the movie. You wouldn't see these spoilers if you were reading a description of it in the newspaper, but you would if it was somehow a self-published book and someone had written a description on the back of it in this bad style. So here's a description that might have appeared in the newspaper when you were going through the movie listings looking for what you were going to see. I pulled this from MoviePhone, by the way. Slow-witted Forrest Gump never thought of himself as disadvantaged. And thanks to his supportive mother, he leads anything but a restricted life. Whether dominating the gridiron as a college football star, fighting in Vietnam, or captaining a shrimp boat, Forrest inspires people with his childlike optimism. But one person Forrest cares about most may be the most difficult to save. His childhood love, the sweet but troubled Jenny. So that's it. It gives a short capsule description of the movie. You know that a lot of stuff is going to happen. He's going to go to Vietnam. He's going to be a star in football. He's going to somehow wind up on a shrimp boat. And all the while, there's going to be this love interest. And also, you know, he's a little unusual. He's a little slow, but yet he inspires people. So it sounds like a nice movie. You might want to watch it. Okay. Had this been a self-published book and the author was not following the rules of how to write jacket flap copy, it might have been completely different. We might have been, you know, told, okay, you know, we might have started off the same, you know, Forrest is slow-witted, but doesn't really think of himself that way. I don't know what that was. And then he goes to college, and he ends up being a star on the football team because he can run really fast. But then he gets drafted and goes to Vietnam. His best friend in Vietnam is killed, and his captain is injured and loses his legs. And he buys a shrimp boat, and, you know, he brings his injured captain with him on the shrimp boat, and they survive a storm. And they end up doing really well. They make some money. He invests the money. He gives money to his friend's surviving mother and family. He moves back to his childhood home. His mom dies. He catches up with his friend Jenny. She's not doing too well. Then they lose touch again. He ends up going, you know, on a nationwide running trip, and then he has an epiphany of some sort. He goes back home. Jenny comes to stay with him. She has AIDS. She dies, but he raises their surviving daughter. That is, you know, what happens in the movie. Yes, it's true, but you don't want to put all that information on the back of a book or on the jacket flap of a hardcover book. And the reason is because it's not a book report. It's not a, you know, readers don't want to know everything that happens in the book by reading the back of the book. That's not the idea. Go through Movie Phone if you want, and, you know, look at what they put for movies that you are familiar with and how they describe them on there, versus, you know, an actual summary that might appear on like IMDb or something. And you're going to see it's very different because, first of all, you don't want to take up too much space. Here's the back of Shallow Pond. It's 2 whole paragraphs, and they're not really long paragraphs. And that's about as long as you want it. You don't want it much longer than that. Really not too many sentences, because people don't want to get bored. They probably aren't going to read the whole thing, unless they're definitely sure that they're going to, you know, buy this book. They're just going to pick it up, look at it real quick, and if it bores them after the second sentence, forget it, okay? So reading a summary is actually pretty boring. You want to entice them and make them curious, but you don't want to tell them everything that happens. And I just felt this video needed to be made because I see so many self-published authors who get this information wrong. They are not writing an enticing, you know, description, come read this book sort of thing. They're writing a full summary of the book, which just does not work. And I think that this is one of the most difficult things to try and write as an author. We're not copywriters. That's not what we do. We know how to tell stories, and we know how to summarize stories, but we don't always know how to write them in such a way that it's going to make people want to read it, and that makes it pretty tough as an author. If you were an author, I might enlist some help if I was going to publish a book and I needed some jacket flap copy. I might ask, you know, maybe someone who had read the book, a friend or relative even, how they might, you know, pitch it. Not a summary, but how they would lure readers into writing it. But I also might look to help from a professional writer, a professional freelancer. Of course, they haven't read the whole book, so, you know, it might be tough for them to do it, but I guarantee you a lot of the people that write these at publishing houses haven't read the whole book either. So you want to capture the feel of the book, you want to make people want to read it, give them an idea of what it's about, but don't tell them the whole story. And it's tricky to do, but that is what you need to do. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, and you're going to chase readers away instead of drawing them in, which is your goal. Okay, my name's Alyssa Grasso. I am an author. I put out these awkward author videos whenever I can to help to inform and educate and just get the message out there. And, you know, writing is awesome. Being an author is awesome. And there's just, if you're going to be self-publishing, there's so much you have to do, but Yeah, this is one thing that's important. Okay, guys, I will see you all again soon.